So is this rally real? Can it be trusted? Or is this going to be turning into a massive bull trap? That's what we're going to discuss today. There is a whole lot that is going on. And yesterday's show was more about being patient than anything. And I think you'll see why in a moment's time. Patience definitely does pay off. So let's get straight into it. I want to start off on this weekly chart over here because yesterday we were really focused around that 255 MA, the 255 moving average over here. And this was the short trade that I gave live on the stream. I said pretty much you'd be looking for a rejection off of that 255 moving average, which seems to be the case. That does seem to be happening. And you had your stop loss just above. I haven't changed a single thing on this chart. So you would be in profit, only marginally, but nevertheless, you are in profit. So let's see how it plays out. Looking at the lower time frames, it does look like you can expect at least a short-term pullback. And then there's certain levels, which I'll cover in a couple of charts time, which have to hold in order for bulls to keep control. And then I did also give a long trade, believe it or not. That was in the Discord group on Solana, and I will cover that as well. You know, I just wanted to hedge because when markets are kind of in these pivotal points where there's the opportunity for bulls to take control, but also it is difficult to tell if it's going to be a bull trap or not. I like to play it both ways and manage my risk effectively, and therefore you don't really lose any money. Right now, you could pretty much move your stop all the way down to break even over here. I'm going to leave this though because it's risking extremely little. I'm not going to move any stops, but in theory, you could literally move your stop down like that, and then boom, there goes all your risk completely gone. So keep an eye on this week. The weekly close will definitely be telling, and the what this body of this candle looks like coming into the end of the week will be important in deciphering what's going to happen leading into the next week. So that's Bitcoin on the high time frame. Yesterday, also look, Will Clemente showed over here that the leverage is very high, which was what I covered in the Discord group as well. I'll get into that in a moment's time. I see some of these tabs have moved over. Let me just shift that. So I'll cover that in a moment's time. This is something very important, and one of the reasons why I was a little bit nervous to be going too long. In other words, I only took the long position that I took was purely a spot position. I didn't really want to go into leverage because when leverage gets this high, things can pull back very, very quickly. So this is the leverage chart live. If you want to see what's actually going on right now in the now moment on the hourly chart, it looks like it's actually continuing to rise up. So you can see over there, it's at about 11 billion. It looks like it's just making, you know, higher highs and higher lows. Not sure if you can trade the leverage ratio, but there it is, something important to consider. 3-day chart, this is where I said your patience will be required because yes, there is a potential of breaking down the supporting trend line over here, which would be good for bulls because it's the inverted chart. Remember, you do want that trend line to break down, and more importantly, you want to take out this previous higher low and make a new lower low that would reverse the trend completely. And that level to watch is $22,493. You, as a bull, you want that level to get taken out and close below there with at least a daily candle. So keep an eye on that. This could very easily, if things do turn around over here, this wouldn't even, this line that's come out here wouldn't even show anymore. It would just turn straight back up. So wait for confirmation. 1 day and 17 hours left for that. Now, one of the concerning things is, for those of you who know, Jim Cramer has pretty much made very bad calls. You know, they actually have an inverse trading system that goes against him, which has been highly profitable over the years, like some sort of a inverse Jim Cramer Index. And he says, yeah, the research is so bearish today. As an analyst, don't fear saying negatives. I would be more circumspect on the negative side. We are the most, this is very scary, we are the most long in ages for the trust. Join the investing club. And if you read the comments below, top traders, you know, are basically calling him out on that, saying don't ruin our long trades. Let them at least reach their take profits before you make these kinds of posts. So one interesting thing that I want to note over here is yesterday we covered the Bitcoin mining difficulty, of which I said there was going to be a mining difficulty adjustment. So you can see that this is coming down now. And oftentimes when you do have the difficulty move to the downside, it is followed by a downward move. So the orange is the difficulty adjustment. Have a look at what happened in July, and we did go down all the way to those lows. At the time was around $31,000. So mining difficulty came down and price followed suit. So be cautious. There is a potential for a pullback, and it does look like that, at least in the very short term. And looking at MAC 10, now this would be a worst case bearish scenario. Is he saying this is the oversold rally, which will end overbought again? Keep in mind another obligatory delusion. There is no trend to this market. And if you click on that, this is essentially of the S&P 500. My target levels are only a little bit lower. So I'm looking at this area over here, which was the pre-COVID sell-off. Anywhere within this level, 3,350 is where he's written here, global currency crisis. That's where I'm expecting some sort of a bounce, a major bounce, and potentially even a local bottom, not necessarily like a generational bottom, but a local bottom. And what he's showing here is pretty damn scary. He's showing a straight sell-off. I mean, you'd be coming all the way back to, what is this, 2015, 2016 levels if it were to sell off another 60% from here. And he has very compelling data that he shares. I've been following him for quite some time. MAC 10, the suburban drone is his handle, if you do want to give him a follow. Mostly bearish, but I told you guys, I'm very neutral. I don't want the market to run away from me. So I'm not calling for doom. I don't want that to happen. I want to get in advance if I can. I don't want to miss any of the move. And at the very least, I need the 4 hour to start to establish an uptrend before I start bidding every higher low. And we are close to getting that, which is why I said just a little bit more patience, and then we can enter in a safe way. And yeah, I hope that this doesn't happen. That would be catastrophic. But looking at the DXY over here and what that's done, that was big reason for the pullback, or the pullback in the DXY was a big reason for the pump. So that is huge. 4% move in very short amount of time, in just a couple of days. But let's see if it's going to catch support here. This is a slight area of support, not very strong, but nevertheless, it is a slight area of support. The main level I'd be watching is back onto this trend line, which is anywhere around that 108 to 108.6 on the DXY. The NASDAQ, have a look at this. This is coming up into resistance over here. I would expect this, what was previous support, is now going to flip into resistance. You can see the way price reacted within this level over here. Let's just grab that one. So you have that, you have that, you have that, you have that over there, and then this is where we lost it. We came back into test it again. I would imagine this is going to flip into resistance. So keep an eye on that. That is 290.87 on the NASDAQ, which is the QQQ is what I have it as. I also want to touch on the futures chart over here, the S&P 500 futures. Same sort of picture. This one, I think it could run up to about 3,890 to about 3,920. That's kind of the level that I'm watching on the S&P 500 futures chart. The VIX has come below the risk line, but it could bounce from here if it gets back above here. Anything above this risk line of 30 points is where things start to get risky and volatility can kick in heavily into the market. So watching that closely. Let's see if that contracts back down. It does now also have a moving average over here, which is going to use as support and likely bounce off and continue to the upside. And ultimately, I don't expect any major bottoms to form unless we tag around this 48 or higher, potentially even going up to the 77 to 85 mark. Those are the biggest crashes that you ever see. Okay, 3-day chart. Still stuck in the parallel channel to the downside. If this were to hit today, so I just keep moving this along this trend line over here, it would be $21,122 would be the major resistance. All right, quickly touching on the admin stuff. If you don't mind, I'd really appreciate it. Give this video a like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification if you aren't already subscribed to the channel. Now, something interesting that I noticed yesterday on the live stream was that you have, of course, this RSI trend line, which has been holding on the daily, and it has been price had been reacting into this, or at least the momentum oscillator was. And at you need to wait for the daily close to see where it's at. But yesterday it did push directly into this, and it came back down, which is why the close is showing over here. So I find that interesting that there is some sort of resistance from that zone. But another interesting thing is on the daily. If you are using, and I'm not a big fan of these diagonals, just by the way, all this indicates is that there's a momentum shift, not necessarily a reversal, but it has cleared that level. Let's just turn this off to clean that up a bit. There we go. So this trend line that has been holding since all-time highs, and then you had over here in March that 47, 48K massive bull trap over there where it touched again. We've now come into that zone for a third time, but we've broken through it. So you have a successful close above. Let's just delete that so you can see nicely. And price is holding above those moving averages. Now, this is the important part of the show. I would say that if price can hold and maintain above this level now, I would start to look for every single higher low on the 4-hour chart to potentially go long. But today will be interesting because when I show you the low time frame charts now, you'll see that momentum oscillators are turning over, and it's likely we are going to get a pullback. Now, the question is, where do we hold? So if you can see price holding above about this 19,600 to 700 level, kind of this zone over here, if price can bounce from this level and maintain above that, then I give the bulls the benefit of the doubt that maybe they have a chance of not necessarily reversing the entire trend, but at the very least, you might get some sort of a new range that's forming, whereby you can kind of target towards a higher range, and we go sideways for a longer period of time somewhere within that zone. And this sideways action could become an accumulation phase over time. So things could be changing. Let's keep an eye on that. That's the level to watch. We won't know anything until probably tomorrow or maybe even the next day. But keep that in mind, 19,600 to 700. That is kind of like one of the pivotal levels to hold. Now, here you have the 4-hour chart on Bitcoin. So yesterday I did put, I think I showed this on the show. I showed this is the primary resistance zone. As you can see, the wick came directly into that. I had even potential higher targets but the problem was the momentum oscillators were already reaching, so it didn't look like they were going to get there all the way to 21,000, and things started to turn over. And as you can see, that looks like it's going to come down quite quick, and you have to ask yourself, are we going to bounce from that level? You can see how prices reacted within that zone. Same levels what I just showed you on the daily, 19.6 to 19.7 on Bitcoin. Those are your zones that need to hold if you want to be bullish. I would potentially bid this area with a stop loss just underneath. And if price can hold that, so if you see something like this, then great. Maybe make another attempt into that trend line, probably reject. Second one comes in line with this, and then next higher low, and then you break it and things start to change quite quickly. Or on the other end of the spectrum, it just creates some sort of a tower top like this, and it smashes right through. You take out these lows, and that would be very bad. Probably sweep the lows underneath 18K. And then you need to see is the main wick low from, I think it was June or July at 17.6. Is that going to hold? So that's kind of what I'm watching on the 4-hour chart. Let's close that. Here's your other picture on the 4-hour chart using different momentum oscillators with the RSI stochastic. And this area is currently, this is on the daily. I'll change it to the 4-hour now, but you can see them on the daily. These are reaching with the momentum oscillators, and you are coming into that diagonal resistance on the daily chart, which I had also mentioned to you guys previously. This does look like a descending triangle. So not a perfect one, but nevertheless, you have lower highs with a flat bottom. And now the question is, if we turn over here, that 4-hour momentum oscillator will probably get these RSIs and this Fisher distance from the EMA to turn back over. And now, will we hold this level on the pullback? That is the question that I have for the daily chart. 4 hours going to look very much the same as what I just showed you. Everything is turning over. Expect downside probably over the course of today. Okay, this is OKX. This was a trade that I took for Solana. I'll touch on that briefly. But check them out, guys. Also, link is in the description below. They actually have one of the lowest trading fees. I definitely believe for at least for your spot trading, this is a phenomenal exchange to be using. They give you a whole bunch of different features, and they have an awesome a thing that tracks your wallet. So it shows your P&L for the day. It gives like a whole equity curve, and that's what you want. You want a rising equity curve. But sometimes the hardest part is tracking things. They say there's a saying, track your way to success, which is one reason that I do recommend OKX. So link is in the description below. You get a sign-up bonus if you use my referral. Okay, going on to that Solana trade that I did take, and I dropped that. Most of you wouldn't know on the show if you're not in the Discord group, because that is where I dropped the trade. This is in profit. So I would consider potentially taking some of this profit, because I do expect with Bitcoin pulling back that this is likely going to turn over. I will definitely, and I'm saying this live on the show now, I'm moving that completely into break even. So there is no more risk on this trade. I don't want to hear anyone complaining that they lost money, because I have told you now, completely risk-free trade now. Bitcoin is going to pull back, and this is likely going to go all the way back down. I will consider a re-entry back onto that trend line in defense of this higher low that's being set at, so what is that, $32. Let's zoom in for you. Okay, so this area over here, I want to see defended, 31.81. I'll be looking to possibly go back into this position somewhere around here. That's the box. So your box is $32.10 to $32.69. Profits from here, re-enter the long back in there, hoping that it holds this higher low. And if Bitcoin can't break through and the whole trend starts to truly reverse, I do think Solana will be one of the good ones in the long run. So asymmetrical bet on this one, because network effect and all of that, it probably will last. Not that I get too caught up in those narratives, because I've seen things change very, very quickly before. Okay, quickly touching on that Discord. Let me just grab it over here. Here is the Discord. So this is the trade that I gave. And I explained to everybody, I said this will shock many of you, but I'm playing the long side here too. So here's your Bitcoin short trade. After that, I put in the Solana one. I said, if FOMO does kick in here, which the sentiment is suggesting to me, then Solana with a series of high lows would make sense as a decent play. I'm running a 1-to-4 risk to reward on a spot trade. And I wrote there keyword no leverage. This is a very short-term trade and more insurance for me, since we are close to breaking a long-term downtrending diagonal on Bitcoin. And if that breaks up, it will be too aggressive to get in on time, and it could break out, since I believe the stock market rally will continue today, which was yesterday, and the DXY 10-year yield is going down too. 10-year yield broke down that main trend line. So that was the reason that I took that. Afterwards, I wrote two major causes for concern for me is the open interest is skyrocketing, but in brackets, it can definitely go higher. All time frames that matter are still in a downtrend, and therefore longing is counter trading the trend and increasingly risky. So you must have tight stops and be prepared for anything. Much love, friends and fam. Then I also ran a vote over here. I said vote below. Is this a real rally? Use a thumbs up. Is this a bull trap? Use the thumbs down. We got 152 people voting down. Then you got 58 with the up. And then I have 2 eggplants. I don't know what that's about, why people put eggplants here, but I got 2 of those. The most I've got on the eggplants is probably about 30. I'm not sure what that exactly means. But there you go, guys. If you do want to get into the Discord group, please have a look in the description below. The link to the Discord is there. There is a lot of value. You can use any one of my links, except for I think Prime XBT is the only exception. If you use OKX, BITGET, or BYBIT links of mine, that will give you access into the private Discord. The general Discord with the open chats, all of you can get access. If you just click the link to the Discord, you'll get straight in there. Private groups, you must use one of the links, and you can make a small deposit, whether you use it or not, doesn't matter. Just make a small deposit to the exchange, and that's it. Oh, by the way, one more thing. It will take 24 hours for our Discord manager to approve you into the group, because he needs to get from the exchange proof that you did actually join. So, guys, brings me to the end. Thank you all very, very much for your time. I appreciate each and every one of you. And let's see, another exciting day on the markets. I will see you all on tomorrow's video. Cheers for now.